He wasn't the only one who needed to get ready. Seeing how determined Jinwoo looked, Jinshul nodded. I understand. If that's what you really think. Jinwoo walked past Jinshul toward the door to the auditorium. But then Jinshul realized something and quickly called to him. Excuse me, Hunter Sung. Jinwoo turned around, looking confused. As Jinshul made a face, there are reporters out there too. Oh, Jinwoo looked down at his clothes. He was very dirty from training with his soldiers. What should I do? He didn't want to cause a problem by going somewhere else to change clothes. Also, he couldn't buy new clothes from the shop like he used to.
Wait a minute, the shop?
He could no longer use the shop because the special system that powered it was gone. But the energy that kept it running came from a very powerful being. That meant he should be able to create things, like clothes. There was one outfit he knew he could make right now. Suddenly black smoke filled the room and swirled around Jinwoo, as if it were alive. What? Jinshul jumped back, surprised. The black smoke changed shape and became black armor. What do you think? Hunters often wore armor to protect themselves from dangerous magical creatures. When a strong hunter like Jinwoo wore his armor, he looked even more impressive. Jinshul was quiet for a moment, amazed by how great Jinwoo looked. It really suits you. Jinwoo smiled a little. I'll take that as a nice thing to say. Jinwoo looked back at the door, and carefully walked into the large room. The noisy room became completely silent. Hunter Jinwoo Sung was there. Everyone looked at the person standing at the front. Jinwoo gathered his thoughts and looked at all the people in the crowd. He was going to tell them about what would happen soon. 8 very strong armies were heading toward our world, planning to destroy it. These armies were all made up of soldiers from a dangerous place called the World of Chaos. People didn't think we could possibly win against them. How would the people waiting for good news feel when they found out what was really happening? Jinwoo looked a little worried as he felt nervous. He didn't say anything for a moment. Everyone was very quiet and listened carefully. You could barely hear a sound in the large room. After a few seconds, Jinwoo used his special energy on his throat, so he wouldn't need a microphone. This will be a hard time for everyone. His voice softly filled the quiet auditorium. He could hear the representatives gulp nervously as their hearts beat quickly. Strangely, as their heartbeats sped up, his own became steady. I am feeling more relaxed. Jinwoo continued explaining things calmly. But people can't ignore this. These beings will come and ruin everything you care about. How were these leaders supposed to react? By the time he was finished speaking, they couldn't hide their fear. Even the reporters who had been chosen carefully had forgotten what they were supposed to do, and just looked at each other, worried and helpless. The auditorium became very loud. Finally, one scared person couldn't stay quiet and shouted at Jinwoo. Do you really expect us to believe that? It was hard for people to accept that scary creatures strong enough to destroy the world were coming. The older man yelled desperately, show us the proof. I won't believe you until I see it. That's right. What a silly idea. You say hundreds of magical beasts like Kanish will appear. That doesn't make sense. It's normal to get angry, or ignore things you don't understand. The representatives were angry at the man speaking, and they forgot all the amazing things he had already shown them. But Jinwoo stopped them with just a wave of his hand. Oh, suddenly, several doorways appeared behind Jinwoo. Doors called gates linked different worlds, and Jinwoo could make many of them using a special power. He could travel quickly through shadows, so he didn't really need the gates. But he wanted to really make his point clear. He quickly created several doorways big enough for people to walk through. He looked back at the crowd. Everyone there, the people representing the Hunters Association, the reporters and all the employees were staring at the gates in shock. Are those really all gates? Someone asked. How is this possible? Hunter Jinwoo Sung had created dozens of gates all at once. And he did it right in front of everyone. Even David Brannon, who had once seen a dragon come out of a broken dungeon, couldn't believe his eyes. He kept rubbing them to make sure he was seeing correctly. It was working exactly as planned. Jinwoo was happy with how people were reacting to the power of the Shadow Monarch. He closed all the gates he had opened. They disappeared really fast, like they were never there at all. Oh no. One upset reporter quickly asked another reporter, did anyone record those gates? It doesn't matter what kind of camera was used, like a phone or a real camera. Did anyone get it on video? Oh, the reporters covered their faces and made sad sounds because they were disappointed. It all happened very fast, and no one was thinking clearly. No one remembered to make a recording of what was happening. The disappointed sounds from the reporters showed that trouble was starting. The auditorium filled with loud arguments and talks. Hunter Jinwoo Sung, the person from England, suddenly stood up and yelled, "Maybe he is one of them. Those soldiers who came through the first big gate. Maybe he brought them here to hurt us." Everyone stopped what they were doing when they heard this scary idea. The unreasonable fear that Jinwoo might be an enemy quickly spread through the crowd like a sickness. Gates were like doorways to another world, and they caused a lot of fear and sadly many deaths. Jinwoo looked quietly at the man from England. The man quickly understood he had said something wrong. If Jinwoo was on their side, he had definitely made a big mistake by upsetting him. If he didn't, the man had made a big mistake. "Of course, I completely trust you." His voice faded, and his face became pale. Jinwoo sighed and looked at the man, showing him how disappointed he was. Jinwoo had finished speaking. He didn't feel he needed to convince anyone. "It's up to you whether you believe me or not. Or agree with what I said. I've said everything I came to say, so now it's your decision." The reporters realized the presentation was ending, and quickly started taking pictures. Click, click. As Jinwoo turned away from the crowd, the director of the Hunter Command Center raised his hand. Jinwoo nodded at David, because he knew the man. "Director Brannon." The director slowly stood up from his chair. Once again the large room became quiet. Everyone there knew the leader of the Hunter Command Center. "It's been a while, Hunter Sung." David politely nodded his head, and Jinwoo did the same. The director continued speaking. "We now know what was coming from those gates. Many thousands of dark magical creatures appeared from the first gate. Luckily they were the warriors who had promised to help Hunter Sung, and he had unexpectedly received the Shadow Monarch's strength. The soldiers quickly agreed to follow the powerful hunter, but they learned today that the creatures coming through the other portals wouldn't be as kind to people. How could humans deal with these new creatures? The director took a deep breath and asked, "What should we do next?" Jinwoo looked at him, then slowly looked around at everyone listening. He noticed they were worried, uncomfortable, and scared. It wasn't always helpful to notice everything, even with his special ability. Jinwoo decided what to do, and gave them his best advice. "Please stay away from the gates. Get as far away from those gates as you can." Jinwoo's words caused a huge reaction. This wasn't just anyone speaking. It was Jinwoo Sung, the man who did amazing things at the first large gate. When he warned that many magical creatures would come out of the gates and it would be hard for people to handle them, everyone became scared and rushed to get away from the gates as quickly as possible. All the roads were very crowded with cars, and the streets were full of loud honking. A picture of Jinwoo was on the front page of every newspaper, with the same message: "Run as far as you can." This was enough to make people all over the world take action. But as more and more people started to leave, some people began to disagree with it. Not everyone believed what Jinwoo said. Jay Mills, a hunter working in Canada, where a very powerful gate had opened, strongly disagreed with him. "Tell him to stop talking nonsense." The best hunter in Canada criticized Jinwoo on live television, while on a show called The Hunter Channel. "If I could talk to Hunter Jinwoo Sung, I would tell him myself. Anyone watching can tell him for me." The show host tried to smile and make things less awkward. Wait a minute. Hunter Sung is known as one of the greatest hunters, right? We shouldn't ignore a warning from someone so skilled. Jay was number 17 in the world rankings. Since he had only been hunting for 3 years, he wasn't as experienced as Jinwoo. He knew things weren't equal. Yes, Hunter Sung is a skilled hunter. He is strong enough to defeat Thomas and he has many followers. But no matter how good a hunter is, we shouldn't believe everything they say. What makes you think he isn't telling the truth? Hunter Mills. Jay smiled. What proof does he have that it's all real? As the host tried to find a good response, Jay looked directly at the camera. Here's what I believe. The only reason those scary dark creatures bowed to Jinwoo Sung was because he was standing near that special doorway in Seoul. Those magical creatures probably would have given up to any hunter who was there. Jay pointed at the camera, as if he were talking right to Jinwoo. "Hunter Sung, you can't take all the gates for yourself. Some people were frightened by what you did, but I am not scared of you." Not at all. Jinchul turned off the television, carefully placed the remote down, and looked at where Jinwoo was sitting. Hunters in Canada are supporting Jay Mills. It also seems like India and some other countries, with strong hunters, are getting ready to go on raids too. Jinwoo simply nodded quietly. They had a choice to make. He needed to concentrate on fighting the monarchs. The United States was watching everything they did. It was true that people all over the world were waiting to see what they would do next. Jinchul hesitated before explaining what was most important. What are you planning? Hunter Sung. Jinchul watched Jinwoo closely, waiting for a response. They needed to be careful not to bother him. Jinchul had been keeping a secret from Jinwoo. People all over the world were sending urgent requests, asking for Jinwoo's assistance. He was getting so many requests for help that it was hard to focus on his job. The United States, which is next to Canada, was asking for help the most. But the Hunters Association was meant to help hunters focus on finding and dealing with magical creatures. Following the plan President Go had created, Jinchul stayed quiet and waited for Jinwoo to decide what to do. Jinwoo had already made his choice. He knew they couldn't fight all 8 armies at the same time. So he decided to deal with the army that was closest to South Korea, where his family was. He would take care of the other powerful leaders later. He knew his chances of winning would get better with each fight. First he was going to face someone in China. Jinwoo looked at Jinchul and said, "I'm going to China." Everyone in China welcomed the hero from Korea. Billions of people thanked Hunter Sung. They hoped Korea and China would always be friends. There were banners everywhere at the airport, written in Korean so Jinwoo could read them. Jigin Liu met Jinwoo at the airport and looked with concern at all the banners. It wasn't that he disagreed with the message. China was very happy that Jinwoo had picked them from the 8 countries with huge magical gates. Jigin was very happy to fight with Jinwoo when magical creatures came out of the gate. He was upset though because people in China were reacting much differently than people in Korea had when he offered to help. It bothered him that the same people who had once called him a traitor were now all praising Jinwoo. Zhegang was upset by the decorations at the airport. If he hadn't gone to Korea with the hunting team before, he wouldn't be able to face Hunter Sung now. He shook his head and watched a plane land. He knew Hunter Sung was on the airplane. He felt a cold shiver run through him, and the hairs on his arms stood up. Only one person could make him feel that way. As it turned out, government officials and leaders from Hunter's company in China were talking excitedly when they learned Hunter Sung had arrived. This wasn't right. Chugong was already bothered by the welcome banners, and now he was even more annoyed by everyone's behavior. These were the same people who had disagreed with him when he tried to help Korea. If he wasn't a very powerful hunter, they would have tried to stop him. He knew he couldn't let these people act unfriendly towards the warrior who was bravely trying to save them. Chugong turned to his helper. "Tell the president to call off all plans for a welcome event. I will personally greet and lead Hunter Sung." "Excuse me, sir." But the others, the assistant paused and glanced behind him, at the people standing there. Those officials tried to act like they didn't hear and pretended to cough. Chugong began to laugh and walked closer to them. "I want everyone to leave now. Does anyone disagree?" Knowing Chugong gets angry easily, all the officials and managers quickly left the room. Chugong looked pleased with the empty waiting area. "So you were talking?" "Yes. I will tell the president, sir." As his assistant quickly made the call, Chugong walked toward where people were arriving. "Hunter Sung is here. Let's get a picture of him." Click, 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 click. Reporters had been at the airport all day to get a good view. Camera flashes popped as soon as people saw Jinwoo. He looked around the airport confused. Weren't about 100 people supposed to be here? The person from the Hunters Association of Korea, who was with him, looked worried too, because no one from the Hunters Association of China was there to greet them. But then Jinwoo smiled when he saw a face he recognized. Hunter Liu, Hunter Sung. The 2 hunters shook hands quickly and strongly, like warriors getting ready for a fight. "So where is everyone?" Chugong smiled, and the interpreter told Jinwoo, "People say Chinese people don't like to wait. They couldn't wait for you any longer and had to leave. So I will be going with you, Hunter Sung." Jinwoo thought Chugong wasn't telling him everything, but he didn't ask about it. He and Chugong were friends, and that was enough. Feeling glad that Jinwoo agreed, Chugong showed him the way to the exit. "This way, please." But Jinwoo stopped after walking a little bit. Chugong also stopped. Through the airport's glass walls, Jinwoo could see a huge gate in the sky. That is, Jinwoo's face became serious. Chugong said quietly, I don't have the strength to fight that thing. Since Chugong couldn't handle it, there was no point in asking other Chinese hunters for help. That's why he was so happy to hear that Jinwoo was coming. To show how thankful he was, he thought carefully about what to say and spoke honestly. I can't speak for everyone in China, but I Zisheng Liu will never forget your help. As the time for the dangerous event got closer, more news spread around the world. Hunter Zheng Sung has chosen to help China. Japan and Russia have said they will send help to Hunter Sung. The airplane carrying the hunters is planned to leave this afternoon. Also, people have learned that the White Castle found in an old forest in Japan is not connected to the dangerous areas. With 5 hours left until the dangerous event begins, will Hunter Sung's warning turn out to be correct? J. Mills exclaimed loudly. Japan and Russia are trying very hard to be friends with Jinwoo Sung. He believed he knew why those two countries were helping China. They clearly hoped to gain Jinwoo's favor and be on good terms with him, in case they ever needed his assistance. China, Japan, and Russia were having a difficult time. The people protecting those countries didn't seem able to keep them safe. But in Canada, hunters came together on their own to protect their home. They were ready to defend their country. Jay looked with pride at the many thousands of hunters who had come together for this important mission. The stories about running away from the gate didn't bother anyone. Yeah, everyone felt really good, and their excitement seemed to reach the sky. People from Canada had come to cheer them on from far away. Canada never gives up. We don't run away. Our hunters will protect us. And this land. The cheering people waved signs to show they supported the hunters. As Jay looked at the huge gate, he felt sure they would win. We'll defeat any magical creatures that come out of there. Feeling very excited, he turned to the other hunters and raised his hands. Yeah, China was ready too. The group of hunters from different countries gathered around the area near the gate. Just like they had done in Seoul, the strongest hunters were from China. As you'd expect from a country with so many hunters, there were over 100,000 Chinese hunters present, even though they only selected the best ones. Jinwoo had told them that defeating the approaching armies would be very hard for humans. But the hunters began to think it might be possible with so many people helping. Just then, Jinwoo called forth his shadow soldiers. Come out. Jinwoo had made sure there was plenty of space behind him for his army of 13. They're on a completely different level. Can things like that even fall from the sky? No way. They were very scared. Because they were experienced hunters, their senses were very sharp, and were telling them that something dangerous was nearby. Chugong was not easily surprised, but even he was shocked. Are all of these creatures working for you? Hunter Sung? Jinwoo nodded. He could tell his soldiers were ready to fight. That was good. Jinwoo looked up at the sky. Not much time was left before the special entrance opened. He needed to win this fight, and also convince many of the soldiers from the other world to join his side. This was the start of the war. The loud group of hunters became quiet when the shadow army appeared. Everyone felt a big battle was about to begin. They felt nervous and tense. Jinwoo had trouble swallowing. He wondered what kinds of magical creatures would come out of this gate. Just then my lord, Belian told his master it was time. Jinwoo answered calmly. I know. Jin was surprised to see Jinwoo talking normally to his helper. Hunter Sung, you can talk to your... Buru, who thought Zhigang was too close to Jinwoo, quickly moved in front of Zhigang. Growl. Zhigang felt anger coming from the ant soldier. Wow, Zhigang was scared and quickly stepped back. The Jinwoo tapped Buru on the back of his head. He's on our side. Buru kept bowing to Jinwoo as he walked away. Jinwoo said he was sorry to Zhigang for Buru's behavior. Sorry. He is just nervous about the fight coming up. As it's okay. Zhigang stopped trying to understand Jinwoo. He felt like he would never be able to make sense of the Korean man. It's opening. Everyone looked up when they heard the shout. Jinwoo's eyes got smaller. The entrance to the gate was slowly opening. The hunters' hearts pounded with worry. But nothing happened. Jinwoo was the most surprised. He tried to sense anything on the other side of the gate, but he couldn't detect anyone. It was completely empty. What? Jinwoo felt a chill as he thought about something he hadn't expected. Could it be? He felt more and more worried as he started to believe what he thought was happening. What? The hunters realized something was not right. Zhigang quickly turned to the hunter who was in charge of communication. What about the other places? The other entrances are the same. Nothing has happened. Are you saying all the other gates are also empty? I'm not sure. Chugong quickly turned to look at Jinwoo, but he couldn't speak to him. The Korean man was completely still, looking shocked. Did he seem that way because he had made a mistake? Jinwoo looked very serious, and it seemed like something more than just a small problem was bothering him. And I messed up. Jinwoo bit his lip, because he realized he had made a mistake in his planning. Why? Why hadn't Jinwoo thought the monarchs would be so prepared? They already knew he planned to use the shadow army. If Jinwoo was correct in his thinking, he quickly went to the hunter, who was in charge of communications,